Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
So I am here again with the dream team, Bella and Delilah. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. So we have a couple special guests from the University of Kansas. So we're going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and so we can start here at the top. So I think it's whoever wants to go first. The introductions.
My name is Rachel. I'm a health educator from the University of Kansas.
Hi, I'm Afton. I have worked at KU for a little over 5 years. I actually just left the office 3 weeks ago, but I worked with Rachel for a time because I took on a new position. But happy to be here.
Of course, so thank you guys for joining us here tonight on Coach's Session. So Bella and Delilah have a couple questions for you. So they're going to take turns. But first, Bella, you want to introduce yourselves to them a little bit? Tell a little bit about yourselves before we get started?
Yeah, I can. My name is Bella. I'm a junior, and I am a student of Coach Lamar's. And yeah.
Hello, my name is Delilah, and I am not a student of Lamar's. I was last year, but I have too many PE credits now, I believe, so they don't put me in it no more. But yes,
But we're still a student because we go to his class.
yes, to talk about the podcast.
Oh.
Okay,
Alright.
so I will start off with the first question. One of them is, more people are saying she, her, or he, him after they introduce themselves. Why is that so significant now? And because people weren't doing it that much in the past.
I love that question. So, I think that that's becoming more common. We see it a lot in educational settings. It's a way for us to tell people what our gender pronouns are, because actually, what our gender is and the way that someone can be respectful to us may not be obvious to us. Just by looking at someone. And so it's a way to just communicate that, make it kind of a normal thing. It doesn't, um, one of the misconceptions is that, about the importance of pronouns is that it only, that we should only worry about pronouns for trans people. But it's also a way for all of us to just make sure that we're not making those kinds of assumptions. It's a way for us to communicate and create a safer space for trans and non-binary students. So that's definitely how I introduce myself a lot at KU. And I've never been in a situation where someone is forced to share that. It's usually just an optional thing. So sometimes I have it on my name tag, or I have it in different places, and I like to give students lots of different opportunities to share their pronouns. Not always like announcing it out in public, but even just sharing it with people that are close to them.
You guys good? All right. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. So what's the next question you guys have?
The next question is, in schools now, people
riding large water.
In school now, people are identifying as cats and dogs, other animals. People dress up like cats, and they even have litter boxes in school. Do you think that people are taking identifying as who they are too far? Does that do a disservice to people actually identifying as the opposite gender?
So my understanding is the whole litter box issue was kind of some misinformation, I think, that was going around on the internet, and was something that was kind of being shared, misapplied to a situation that was happening due to, I believe, school shooting drills and intruder drills and things like that. And I think that there's often a lot of panic anytime people are saying, "Hey, I want to be included." It's really normal, I think, for adults in particular, who I think struggle with this the most, to say, "Well, if I accept this person, where does it stop?" They kind of act like, "Oh, well, now I'm going to have to accept everybody." Well, that's not the worst thing in the world. And when we think about the way giving people lots of choices in how to identify their sexual orientation and their gender identity, I don't think that that puts anyone at risk. I think it's also normal for young people in particular to test boundaries and to test the limits of what adults are saying. And I also think that it's really normal and unfortunate for adults to start kind of panicking and assuming worst case scenarios when really, when you get at the heart at what trans and non-binary students often are asking for, they're asking for really basic things. They're asking, like, can I go to the bathroom that is safe for me? Can I be called the name that reflects who I am and not what's on my birth certificate, because that doesn't match me. Maybe they're asking not to experience violence in schools. I think those are pretty basic things. I think it can be really easy for us to lose track of the really essential needs that students are asking about safety and dignity in schools.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. So going on to the next question, I heard someone say that cardio doesn't help with weight loss. It's all about the food you eat. Is that true? And also, why do companies promote level 1? I need help pronouncing this.
Carcinogens.
Carcinogens.
Carcinogens to
Mhm.
people.
So you asked why companies promote low carcinogenic food. Is that what you said?
Level 1 carcinogens
Level
to
1.
people.
Is that maybe low carcinogens? Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So I'll start with your first one about like cardiovascular physical activity as well as nutrition. So, I guess it depends on what your goal is. I guess I should shape it that way. If your goal is to achieve weight loss, you can do it with just food. With just nutrition, excuse me. And it ultimately comes down to the choices that you make and the nutrients that you put in your body, but also calories in, calories out. So that calories out is the physical activity, right? So if you have a lot of weight to lose, excuse me, then physical activity is even more important because of like the skin elasticity that's going to not going to necessarily happen for that person because they have more skin because they were larger when they began. So utilizing physical activity at the beginning is recommended. Just cardio alone isn't something that I would say would be a recommendation. It would be a mixture of all physical activity. So that's cardiovascular, that's strength training, that's even like yoga, stuff that's like low impact. But it is recommended to do to watch what you eat as well as do physical activity, depending on your goal, like I said. So it's hard to say. But and then the second part, level 1 carcinogenic, I've never heard of that. The only thing that I can think of that I know of when it comes to carcinogens is I've known people who are pregnant and they don't want those level of toxins in their body or carcinogens. And so they get to the point they don't even grill their food on a grill because it can, have carcinogens when they do that. I've heard of that. That's rather extreme. I don't know if it's necessary for an average person that's not pregnant. I've never heard of that. And if you want to elaborate on a company that recommends level 1, I'm happy to look it up real quick and see what I can do if you know.
Oh yeah, so I was thinking, so what's it called when they have cancer causing food? Like people say bacon, or when you see commercials for fast food, or is that an example?
That actually leads into my next question.
Yeah. Should we just jump into that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My next question is commercial promotes a lot of unhealthy food, but are slowly introducing more vegan options. Do you think that eventually restaurants are going to only offer vegan food?
Oh, nutrition opinion. No, that is for somebody's, and Rachel you are happy to jump in if you want to. That is usually due to a person's personal, whether it reflects their beliefs of the food. It could be a culture. It could be a plethora of reasons as to why they would choose to be a vegetarian or vegan. Is it for the masses, and is it going that way? I don't think so. I don't even know what a medical doctor would even feel about that if I were to run that past them, right? Or a dietitian. So Rachel, you are welcome to jump in with your experience, because I know that you've experienced that on a personal level.
Well, yeah. So I've been vegan for a long time, and I have paid attention to when 10 years ago, plant-based was not a thing. That was not word that people use. So I understand that to be kind of a trend. There might be a word that we use to describe something differently in the future. I think having more options is great, right? I like being able to just have more options for folks for dietary reasons, cultural reasons, health reasons, all of the things that Afton mentioned. I think that is a good thing. Whether or not it's going to like completely replace all like beef and chicken in the United States, that seems a little extreme to me. I don't know if that would happen. I think that again that type of exaggeration or kind of panic around like, oh, it's going to replace all of these things. I don't know how based in reality that is, but I definitely hear people talk like that sometimes. On both sides, people scared that it's going to be replaced, and then people really excited. Maybe one day it'll replace all types of animal products. I don't know if I'm as confident that either of those things will happen.
So our next question is, we've had opinions on sexual orientation not being a choice, and you are born a certain way. Some people say it is a choice. Is there evidence for one way or the other?
Good question.
So there are a lot of probably different opinions that you're going to see when it comes to sexual orientation. There's not a lot of science really that is out there that can prove that this is something that you can like point to in the body, right? And say, oh, that's where that came from. So there's not really any scientific backing for that. There might be a lot of, people who are psychologists or sociologists or folks who think about culture and community and families and humans might have a lot of feelings about like, how does one develop one's sexual orientation? One of the things that I hear a lot are people expressing surprise maybe or concern that there are more people who are identifying as queer or trans than there were in the past. But when I look at the short history, relatively short history of the queer rights movement from like the 1960s and onward, there's a lot of progress that the community has made. And I think one of the ways that progress has shown is that people get exposure to the community and at earlier and earlier ages learn, oh, there are people like me that are out there, and they have models that they can look up to. They see people on TV, they see stories on TV, they see actors and musicians and people in their culture, in their community, being themselves, and that gives us permission to be ourselves. And so that is what I think is really influential and really important in creating community. It's very normal for even today, even for queer and trans people, to feel like they're alone and that there's no one else out there like them. And so the more we can create a sense of community and recognize that there are all types of people out there, that to me is a really great thing, and something that I hope that can help with some of that isolation that people might feel.
Okay, thank you. That was all our questions for you guys today.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Well, Bella, Delilah, awesome job as usual. Thank you, Afton, and hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And thank you, Rachel, for taking time out of your day. I do have one question. So what exactly is nitrous? Well, I see that a lot in bacon and like in store. It says, "Oh, this has nitrous in it." What is that exactly?
Nitrates or nitrites? Which one did you say? Because there's two.
I think it's or both. Which for both of them?
That's funny. I was just Googling the level 1 carcinogen that you guys were referring to, and it does pop up. I see what you mean now. It does pop up processed foods, hot dogs, bacon, like you said. So a type of processing. Let me see. Nitrate-free products are out there. Really, let me see what they do to your body. It's been a while since I've looked this up. I don't know. Why is it bad? It's been like years since I've looked this up. Basically, what I'm seeing is a chemical compound that it naturally occurs in foods and are added to it to help preserve them in the processing. So just like coming back to just processed foods, which I think we all know are less than healthful, right? And what that can do to your body, it's just gets you farther and farther away from a natural food. And I know natural does or does not mean a lot of things. But what I look at it as it's original form. So like, did it come from the ground? Did it get picked from a tree, the environment, right? Of some sort. Processing it, we have found is just not healthy for our bodies. And I think we're on steroids when it comes to processing food right now because of the preservation, because it's cheaper there. It could taste better. There's a lot of reasons, but usually it's the preservation process. And so we can make that food last longer. So like if you buy blueberries, it may be moldy the next day. If it's processed, then, of course that's the stage that it goes through. So those are just in the type of processing form, and all foods are processed a little bit different. So it's kind of hard to explain. Does that kind of answer?
Oh yeah, of course. Much clearer now. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to join us for the show. Bella, Delilah, Dream Team, thank you again for your questions.
Thank you.
So now it's time to maybe go get some dinner, go relax, whatever you need to do.
Sure.
So thank you guys again. And so we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good night.
Hey, good night.